we start the Board of Works meeting today with this huge crowd,
This is bad.
we've never had it this low before.
You paid
We,
these guys too.
we're going to have an invocation, we're going to have the pledge. The pledge is going to be given by Julie, will lead in, and the invocation will be given by Ron Coldiron. The invocation is given for the benefit of the Board of Works. We invite anybody that would like to come and do the invocation to come. Whether or not you participate in the invitation has no bearing on the reason that you came to the meeting. So with that, I'd like for everybody to stand, and Julie will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Should I stay here?
Remain standing and,
Can I stay here and leave it?
sure, and would you remember Melissa's family? Her dad's in the hospital, very critical,
Sure.
in intensive care at St. Vincent.
We'll pray together. Father, we're grateful for today, grateful for your mercy and your blessings, for the guidance that you've given us thus far. We thank you for it so much from our hearts. We just ask now that you will touch today's activities. Give us wisdom. Give us character, Lord, to use it well. We ask that you'll touch those, Lord, that are in sad condition today with Melissa's family, Melissa Callahan, her father Larry. We just ask that you'll touch and move in the situation there. Just ask that you'll give healing, give comfort to the family and guidance. Bless this board today, and we just thank you for your encouragement, your blessing in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ron. Everybody would turn off their cell phones. I think they still have mine on. I'll put it on vibrate. And with that, we'll have the reading of the minutes of the last Board of Works meeting.
I move the minutes of September 3rd, 2013 meeting be approved.
Second, please.
Are there any additions or corrections? None appearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We got that covered, man.
Want to do a roll call?
Oh, we better do a roll call. Yeah, roll call.
I can't tell who was who wasn't.
Roll call.
Jane Oakley, present. Fran Schomel.
Present.
Leonard Urban,
Present.
Mike Bishop, Ron Coldiron.
Present.
I think Mike talked to you and he called me and he's doing better with his pump, but he's having a hard time adjusting to it.
Yes, he's having some problems, right?
But he'll get to it.
Absolutely.
Okay. First thing we got on the agenda here is TerraTech has to bring all that PVC pipe to a central location and up through the roof at the Vistion plant in order to use the building. All those pipes were laying on the floor, and so we had to take quotes on doing the work to dig the trenches and to lay that up and take it through the roof. So we have our quotes right here. I'm not sure how many we have.
Just three.
Okay. Okay, they're right there in front of you. Hoosier Equipment, HIS Contractors, and
Shimbyron.
Shimbyron.
Kim Byron.
Shimbyron.
Kim Byron or Shimbyron?
Kim.
Shimbyron.
Okay, your total price is down at the bottom. Hoosier Equipment is $41,568. HIS is $32,849, and Kim Byron is $27,360, and they're not here to recommend to us, so I would
Well,
say,
Dave made a recommendation.
Yeah, there's a recommendation in the
letter.
letter. There's a recommendation in the letter.
And they're recommending in the final paragraph.
I move that we accept the recommendation of Tetra Tech and approve the quote from Kim Byron for the work at the Vistion building.
I'll second because it's the lowest bid, and Tetra Tech are the people that are doing the environmental cleanup.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
This is just kind of a part of that cleanup, right? I mean, it's just the-
This comes out of the cleanup
Yeah.
money. I asked them about the trenches. Some of them are 32 feet long.
Yeah.
And this will bring it all up through the roof and then get out of the way, and it'll actually go up the column, so it won't take up any floor space. Ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Approval of resolutions. Facility agreement, I got it out of order here. It's all right. Let's take it. The facility agreement, Mike is here for the usage of the Miller Building for the church. Is before you. It's the same as it was last year. It hasn't changed.
Yeah, it's a year-to-year agreement for the Christ Jesus Community Church to use the building Sunday mornings.
You guys have a staff member there during that time, Mike?
No.
Okay,
So it's pretty much, we usually get around, what'd she say this morning, $600-700 a month. They set up, they clean up, and what's even better, they hire Jeremy to clean up for them. He's actually part of staff, but we're not paying him.
okay.
That's why I was kind of raised my eyebrow when you asked, is staff there? Yes, but we're not paying them.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay, good. That's the way to have staff. Somebody
Yeah.
else pay them.
But we've been doing this for a few years. We really don't rent it Sunday mornings. They're usually out by the time we can start, after 1 o'clock, the church is out, we start renting it out again, so.
Okay, well, I move that we pass this facility usage agreement between the Connersville Parks and Recreation Department and the church, Christ Jesus Community Church.
I'll second.
Motion and second, we okay this facility usage agreement. Any further discussion? None hearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll go back then to the approval of resolutions 2013-51 through 55. I don't have them.
Yeah,
You got them?
there you go.
Okay, I got them here.
Here's another one.
Okay.
There's one.
Yeah.
That's right. See, have them?
There should be 3 pages.
There's 3
Yeah.
pages.
Okay, I got them.
Okay.
2051 through 55. They're all transfers, and I'd like to take them all three together unless there's a problem. We've had them before you.
There's actually 5 of them.
Any objection?
No.
None objection, then I'll take a motion that we take them all together.
I'll
You
make
want
a
'em read,
motion
Fran?
to.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, maybe other 21. 2351 is where we start. It's a transfer, repair of equipment to refunds in the Parks and Recreation Department. 52 is a non-reverting funds, 2349, and it's going into park non-reverting center event, park non-reverting soccer, 200, park non-reverting softball, 1,872.38. 53 is from 244 minor equipment to small tools and DOT. 54 is fire, office supplies to minor equipment, $600, and MVH is from office supplies to paint, $85.
I move we approve resolution 2013-51 through 55 as presented.
Second, please.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Our next task here will be water meters. As you know, we advertise for new water meters and readers, all to match. We're stuck with what we got, and we're trying to get out of it. John and I are working with a group of attorneys out of Indianapolis and working with the Datamatic company to try to come to a settlement. We are going to have a conference call with them this week and see where we are, but in the meantime, meters are failing terribly. We have 1,200 of them failing right now, which means we gotta go around town and read them by hand, and they're all over the place. So how many bids do you have on the meters?
1.
Well, that'll make it easy. unless he's too high or they're too high.
Right, we may have to,
We did. Okay, I have for Waller's Meter Incorporated, 2606 Wilson Avenue, Madison, Indiana. They represent the Badger Meter Company. And I'll get to the totals here. What this is going to include is 6,200 meters, 3,000 meters, 3,000 or 6,200 readers, and 6,200 of the apparatus. Mike, will you go into my office? On the credenza on the right, I have the Badger meter that we're looking at. I kept a sample of it.
It'll be 6,200 sending units, is that what it is?
Yep, sending units, and, yeah. And I'll tell you a little bit about those things in just a minute. It's going to be 860,250 total project. It's gonna be run over a 2-year period is what we asked them to bid.
The bid schedule's in there for shipments.
You come up and explain it to us. I read the specs, but I don't. Come on up here and explain your bid. I think it's like we asked for it to be.
It is, yeah, we talked about doing a proposal for 1,000 complete.
Before he starts, let a layman that doesn't know what he's talking about. This is, you know, Ron, because you're smart, but this is the meter that goes in the ground. It goes in one end and comes out the other, and if you follow that arrow, it runs right. If you put it in backwards, it runs wrong. But that thing goes in the ground, which we have 3,000 of these already in the ground. But we've got a bad hookup on here reading it called Datamatic, and they're failing. We presume, we would like to go to the Badger, go on there like that, and this goes up through the cover, and this will read this just driving by. Now the advantage of this one is, if someday the city can afford to go to reading it at the office, they can put antennas around the city, and this will send the information directly to the office. So what we like about this, and that's why we asked all the companies to bid their unit here, their unit here, and their unit here, instead of having a makeshift thing like we got today, 2 or 3 different companies with pieces. Now, I hate that because they bought these new meters in '05, David, and we have fought with them continually, and we're losing revenue. Bill thinks, before he left, he thought we could be losing as much as 20%. We're being real conservative, and we think we're losing about $3.20 a unit every month. We think.
Yeah, I think a conservative estimate is 10% of your revenue, and that's water only. That doesn't account for sewer revenue as well, so.
So what's gonna have to happen, he's gonna explain to you why we asked for it in this way when we got the specs. We're going to first address the ones that are bad. Put this and this on the ones that are bad that have good Badger meters in the ground. If it doesn't have a Badger meter in the ground, it's got the AMCO, we're going to take it out and put a Badger in, put the whole thing new. We're going to address that, and we hope by Christmas of this year, you should be up here.
Yeah, I think the goal is to get rid of the 1,000 or 1,200 that you have now that are failing, because obviously that's your biggest concern. And also to increase meter accuracy. I mean, that meter is a very accurate meter, which we know because you have 3,000 of our meters in the ground right now. It's just connected to a bad endpoint, is what they call the transmitter. So our goal mainly is to get your meter as accurate as can, and then obviously get the reading as easily as possible. So by changing that unit out completely, that's what you're going to be
the
successful
old
in
ones
doing.
have any salvageable value? Can they be salvaged?
There's some scrap value in the base meter that you have, the end point, which is what, kind of universal generic term, what they call this, every manufacturer has what they call an end point. There's not much salvageable value
Sure.
in this. But the meter base is made out of brass, it's a B81 brass. They're worth anywhere from $3 to $5 a piece, depending on the meter body itself and the scrap. I think you guys have a local scrap yard. You could probably contact about that, but typically they're worth around $3 to $5 a piece in scrap value for the meter itself.
Bill was concerned, he said, we have to do this, there's no way around it, we've gotta bite the bullet and do it.
Yes.
He was worried, how are we going to do it and pay for it? So in our specs, we came up with a method of payment. And I presume in your bid, you've agreed to our
Yes.
method of payment.
We
Would
have.
you explain the method of payment?
Yeah, what we're gonna do
It
is.
should be on page,
We don't,
I am.
don't have that.
sorry,
you're the.
Yeah, I'm with Waller's Meter. And we're the Badger Meter distributor we're in Madison, Indiana. We cover all of southern Indiana. There's one of my cards here, in case you need anything. And Dave's got my contact information too. It's who I've been working with on it. What we've agreed to do, and Badgers has been very good to work with too. They've agreed to hold their pricing for basically a 2-year time period is what we talked about doing. So, which obviously that cuts into their profit margins over the next 2 years because their manufacturing costs are only going to go up. So what they've agreed to do is hold our pricing for 2 years and basically as immediately as we can to ship 1,000 complete units, which is this entire meter with the endpoint. Ship those right away in roughly 6 months to ship another 1,000, and then another 6 months, which would be roughly a year from now, ship the final 3,000. And that should change you over to where you have all Badger meters in the ground, which that's gonna bring in the most revenue you can have at this. I mean, that's what, obviously what your goal as a utility is to account for all of your water that you're selling and you're pumping, and to be able to bill for all of that. So that's gonna take care of that. And then, so the additional 18 months after that, send just retrofits, which is basically endpoint with this encoder for the existing 3,000 Badger meters that you have in the ground. And we'll ship those in 1,000 increments over the following.
1,500, I believe.
Or 1,500,
In
yes,
two
right, in 2 increments. Yeah, we're going to 750 and 750, that's right.
by doing this, we think we can get it, the increase in revenue will help pay the bill each time. And by making the payment in installments, we'll be able to salvage these, pay them, get some money. We hope we can negotiate a deal with Datamatic to pay for some of this. And at the end of my term, which will be December 15 of 2015, this project should be complete, and we won't have to leave this to another administration to face what we faced, bad meters for the last 6 or 7 years. It should have never been done the way it was done, makeshift, meter from one company, the reader from another company. It was a bad deal. We've got AMCO meters, we've got Badger meters, we've got
Datamatic
Fireflies.
Fireflies.
It's a mess, and it's losing revenue. Not only that, it is so labor intensive to constantly be changing these. So
Sure.
this is the specs we wrote. We asked to bid, and you're the only bid, and you've done it our way.
Yeah, yeah, and I think Badger's been very, very good to work with from my standpoint as far as, I mean, in trying to meet the city's needs. I explained to Badger what the city's needs were, and they were very willing to help us and in return us help you.
What I want to ask you to do, if you can, while we're having the rest of this meeting here, if you and John Baker and David will maybe step out in the hall and look at this, be sure it's in order.
Okay,
I was gonna have, if we got several bids, I was gonna have a committee appointed, and I was gonna meet a week from today to try to accept a bid, but since we only have one bid, this bid is in order and it meets all of our.
yeah, the bid bond's there, everything that
specs.
you need's in there.
If it does, then I would like for us to accept it today so we can start. John, can you do that for us?
Sure.
David, will you just step out? and
Does the endpoint fit the penetration in the lid now? Or we
It
gonna
does,
leave it
yes,
with-
yeah, everything, and that's what's, was really nice about this, it's 1 3/4 hole, which is the same, specs as what you have on your lids now, so there's no re-drilling of your lids. I mean, there's actually a little cap, this is not a complete unit, but there's a cap that goes on there that'll actually hold it into the lid.
Yeah.
So it's,
Retaining nut.
yeah, and it's very, seamless, the transition to change over should be, the retrofit for your Badgers take less than 5 minutes apiece. Obviously, if you gotta change a meter out, then you're subject to whatever's in the pit. If you got a valve that's stuck or they're not working or won't shut off, then there's issues there. It'll take a little bit more time, but
This is a sealed unit here, it's sealed in there, so there's no wiring to it. This battery is guaranteed for
it's
20 years.
20-year battery, yeah, and I can talk about a little bit about the warranty. It's basically from here to here, you have a 20-year warranty, and it's completely from the manufacturer. It's a full 20-year warranty. There's 2 batteries that are in the bottom of it. You can see there. So what this does is send out a signal every 5 seconds to the laptop computer, and so it uses very little battery power. There's very little that goes that's involved with that. So, but
How many badgers do we have in the ground now, Dave?
3,000.
Okay, well, so it won't make sense to
but-
stay with the badger.
yeah.
But those 3,000 are all hooked up to Data-matic Firefly transmitters, which having difficulty with.
Yeah, that's basically what you have now, is you have the Badger meter with an encoder, is what the register is called, with a bare wire, and then you have a splice in your pit that's subject to the, water environment and everything in your pit, and that's connected to your Data-matic Fireflies. So you're getting a lot of failures between the splice, you're getting a lot of failures with the Fireflies, you're getting a lot of failures with the Enco meters that you have in the ground, so there's a variety of problems that you're having, and this, basically, you have one manufacturer that's guaranteeing the product, and Badger, they're been around for over 100 years, a very good company.
So moisture is a real problem.
It is.
And your unit will not be
No,
susceptible.
the failure rate on this contraption is 1/4% and Badger puts that in writing. So if you figure, I think we figured up, if you have 6,000 of these in the ground, you can figure 15 out of those 6,000 would likely have a failure. Now, that could be a battery problem, could be a chip in this, could be a chip in here that fails, but 1/4%, so out of your entire system. And that's not to say that you're gonna have 15, but that's saying, as a factory, what their percentages of margin of failure are, is 1/4%, and that's in writing, so.
And if correct me if I'm wrong, if we should have any kind of failure, which I don't expect any or many, if there is a failure, we send it in, we get a whole new unit back, everything, not just endpoint or register, we get the whole new unit, and your 20-year warranty starts over.
Yeah. Yeah, if it fails on year 9, say if the batteries were to die on year 9, you get a brand new unit from the factory.
On
so.
the electronics that attaches to the top of that meter, there, of course, the little propeller is sending the data to
Yes.
it. Is there a corrosion issue between that head and that meter if the pit floods?
No, none at all. They're
Because we have
fully
a lot of-
submersible.
Okay.
Yeah, they're fully submersible. Us as a company, Waller's Meter, we have over 50 accounts that we've sold this system or a similar system. Badger has a couple different varieties of it too, Everton being the closest one to you. Franklin County has our system. I could give you a laundry list of customers in this area that are the same type of pit environments that you have here. Badger, as a company, has over 10 million of those deployed in the United States. They're the largest meter manufacturer in the United States, so very durable, good quality product.
So the contact corrosion between the two pieces is kind of.
It's non-existent. It's not a problem at all. No.
We researched this for several months, and we figured there were about 4 other companies besides your company that has the complete unit that we could have bought. Could you name those companies?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of other very good companies, manufacturers out there. Badger, Neptune Technology Group, Census is another good manufacturer, and Mueller Systems. Those are about the top 4 companies in the industry. Badger is the #1 manufacturer out of the 4. Now, there are other companies, as you guys know, that sell equipment that obviously I'm not going to disparage them or by any means, but there are other companies out there that make products as well within our industry. But those are kind of the well-known top 4.
What's happened here is when we wrote the specs the way we wanted to pay for them. That may have a bearing why we didn't get more bids, because we can't afford to pay for them all at one time.
Sure.
And so we wrote the specs of what we wanted, how we would pay for it, and we bid it as one job. I really thought we were gonna have 2 or 3 bids, but
Yeah, I expected you to have a few, because there are companies that could have probably done it if they would have chosen to, but I think our price is very competitive too, even if you got any competitive bids. I think we'd have still been low.
So John, do
with
you
our
have
pricing.
the package?
I've got here.
Okay, if you and David go out home, see that it meets all the specs that we lined out, and we're gonna do it accordingly, and then we'll take it up here at the end of our meeting.
Okay.
I have another question.
Sure.
The mounting of that sending unit to the meter, is that what am I gonna say, specific to the Badger, or will that mount on some of
And it'll only mount to a Badger.
That's-
Yeah, they make a universal, what they call RTR or an ADE, but the way this one's set up, it'll only retrofit to a Badger. So, and it's very, like the mayor showed you, I mean, it's real easy to basically, you've got a little set screw you loosen up and just give it a quarter turn, put it on there, give it a quarter turn. And
Well, I guess where I was going with that, Mayor, was if there is an adapter and our meters are good, it's just the sending units, then do we have to replace all of the brass metering also?
All the
without-
Badgers in the ground, we're not gonna replace.
Yeah,
3,000.
but I mean, we got 3,000 others.
Yeah, no, they're AMCO and they're fault.
yeah, you're having a problem
Right.
with those as well.
Okay,
Yeah, we have-
so the meter's an issue, not just
It's
the
both.
sending.
Let me tell you what's going on here. If you talk to AMCO, they say they're good and this is bad, and if you talk to these people, they say this is good and this is bad.
Yeah.
You need to have all one company, so when it's bad, they gotta fix it.
Yeah.
And we
No,
have
I
some documented proof of what is causing us the most problems, and that's why we're going to this direction.
Okay.
And the other consideration too is talking about the revenue, from the revenue side and your meter accuracy. I don't know how old the AMCOs you have in stock are in your system, but the ones that I know that have been tested are only testing between 90% on accuracy. So you figure you're losing between 10 and 20% on your water revenue. Your rates on your water, or your sewer rates are double what your water rates are. So if you start calculating the math on how much revenue you're losing, and it's billable water that you're producing at your plant that you're not actually billing your customers for. So
Well, I think in respect to, and you guys have studied it, but just in respect to what we're talking about, I agree with what we're doing 100%. But it could prolong, if we could use part of our brass and have 6,000 of those others reading off the old brass, it could spread our bill out, is what I'm saying. But if our brass is still an issue,
It is.
Yeah.
then we can't do that. That's
Yep.
where I was going with that,
Now, let me,
rather than buying, yeah.
yeah, in case this
All of
wasn't
them.
clear, let me clarify that. We have over 6,000 meters in the ground.
Yeah.
Of those, 50% are the AMCO Elster that we need to get out of the ground.
Right,
And they are on a Datamatic Firefly,
Right.
also we have to get out of the ground.
right.
The other 50% are Badger meters hooked to a Datamatic.
Yes. I'm understanding.
So the Datamatic, or the Badger with good brass, we're gonna put this retrofit right on it. The AMCOs, good brass, I mean, if the brass itself is good as far as quality,
Yeah.
the meter itself is not. So we need to take those out of the ground, sell them for junk, and put an entire unit of Badger in.
So we're dealing with part of the AMCO function, not the casing, but the integral part is.
Tell me again, I
an issue also.
researched this. The magnetic turns around in here, you know how this
Yeah.
does, and then it turns this.
yeah.
But in
It
the
sends information.
AMCO, there's something different in the AMCO meter.
It's a similar principle. What AMCO does differently is the way they measure the water. This has which I could, if I had a wrench, I could take it apart. There's a small chamber in there, and there's a floating disc in there that oscillates, and that's what turns the magnet, which registers your water. With AMCO, what they have is it's kind of has a chamber, but then it has something that actually just spins round and circle. It's not near as accurate as what that floating disc is.
Okay.
There's been several studies that have been done over the years with meter accuracy. And the nutating disc is what they call it, is a much more accurate meter.
Okay.
And also, I mean, your AWBA recommends you change your water meters every 10 years. I think those AMCOs you said have been in 7 or 8 years,
9 years.
9 years. So I mean, you're already on the fence of having those need to be replaced as it is from AWBA standards. So-
Also, that oscillating disc also reduces loss of pressure. The other,
You get more
Pressure
water
drop
flow.
across your meter.
yeah, you use energy moving that other disc around. This one, you don't lose as much energy.
The biggest thing is, in 5 or 7 years, if something fails, you're gonna have one company to go to for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, sorry, these are failing, I'm sorry, these are failing, we really don't know which failing.
Yeah, and one company that's been around over 100 years. That's
One
a
thing
very
we
good
need,
company.
we need to have one company to go back on and one warranty. Right now, we've been fighting with AMCO, we've been fighting with Datamatic, and we just haven't had any success at all. Sure, they'll say, we'll send you 1,000 more, but it's so labor intensive to continue to change these all the time. Tell them what it took to read the meters this month. Just tell them, listen to this.
Yeah, we have over 1,200 meters that now has to be read by hand. And of course, you know that we migrated to a single due date. So I have the entire water crew, backhoe operator, the plumber helper, all reading meters. I have a water plant operator out reading meters. I have a backhoe operator from the wastewater crew running service during that time. We
That's
just
turning
have,
the water off and on.
we have our remaining water meter department working, because there's 3 positions in the meter department, only 2 are currently filled, and one of those guys are off due to injury. So we're just strapped for time, and getting something in the ground that we can depend on is in the utmost importance, not only for the resources of people, but also the revenue that we are currently losing that we could use to assist in things like this.
I understand that part. I was hoping that we could prolong the brass, but we can't, so that's fine.
Yeah, I think for a lot of
That was the whole
reasons.
point of bringing
Yeah,
the brass
Sure,
in.
no, and I think
Yeah.
kind of what the mayor laid out on
Yeah.
a 2-year change out it's still expensive. I'll be the first one to say that, but it does stretch it out over a 2-year term. And what our hope is that, say, by this time next year, you guys are talking about the much more revenue that you have coming in, and that helps pay for the additional units. So, I mean, that's really what my goal is, and I think Badger's goal would be as a company too, because, we've done several of these projects, and when you get those meters changed out, that's gonna be your biggest revenue increaser right there, so. And it's water that you're producing that you're just not getting paid for, so that's the thing. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That's the thing that a lot of utilities don't really think about a lot of times. The technology part of it is a great thing, but when you're producing the water and you're not getting paid for it when you sell it to your customers because the meters aren't accurate, then that's that's a big loss. So.
So if you'll go out there and be sure that takes in everything that we wanted it to take in.
Okay.
And it's- I think John already left.
Yeah, I think he has it.
Okay, we have salt quotes next. Do you have them?
You don't have that yet, I had them. Bonnie called, we always get a bid or a quote from North American Salt and Morton's. She's called Morton's a couple, 2 or 3 times and has never gotten anything back from them. We just have one quote from North American, and this year the price per ton is $58.85 delivered, which is quite a bit cheaper than what we paid last year, was $61.37, so.
I remember it being as high as 80.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think a couple years before that it was even higher.
58.80.
Yeah, and last year Morton was actually higher, quite a bit higher. It was 65, so,
Okay, yeah. What about, how much do we have to buy?
I think it's.
We have a full bin right now, that's right.
800 tons.
Do they have a minimum purchase?
Yeah, they have a minimum,
Okay.
I can't remember.
80% of quantity shown. What's the quantity? Actually, it's 800 tons, isn't it?
So we have to buy 640 tons.
I think that's what we usually get, 800.
I can't remember what it takes to fill the salt shed. I go by haul. It takes two salt sheds a year normally. David's not here today. Do we have to decide this today, or can we wait till next week?
Well, I hate to wait because I think we have 30 days from the time they submitted this. And I've had it for a couple of weeks and we don't have another meeting for 3 weeks.
Go ahead and vote on it.
I hate to pick on you, but would you have Bonnie call me on my cell phone?
Okay.
I would talk to her.
How much does we usually get?
Well, I go by salt shed full, and I know it takes about 2 sheds a year, but I don't know how much that shed holds. It's packed full right now.
Well, we didn't use much the year
Because we had a
before
lot,
last.
didn't hardly use
Sure.
it.
We had
last
some on left over.
Right.
I know I heard Dave talking
I don't
about
see it
that.
around here where it says the,
Well, if you have to use 80% of the,
but it doesn't say what it is. Not that I can see. And it says 80% of the quantity shown.
I thought you had 800 tons there someplace.
I thought it was 800 tons. I thought that's what we've done in the past.
She'll know in just a minute, I think. I know she's over there.
I see 800 tons on there. Okay.
What's the Morton deal? Say?
This is last year, 875 tons. That's what was last year.
It's in proper form? Well,
It's
anyway,
probably
Yeah,
875.
along with John, I did review the dates, the amounts of shipments.
and they match what we
And
asked
they are.
in the advertisement.
Yeah, according to my notes, they do.
This is a big step, Lord, but it's gotta be done. We haven't got any choice.
Did you read how the payment is going to be made?
Yes, I will, that's what I was having them check, so.
Okay.
We actually come up with the payment and we asked them to bid that way. On 9/24, excuse me. She's gone. Hello, Bonnie, how are you? Bonnie, I wanna ask you a question on this salt bid. We have to take 80% of what we bid here. Is that 800 tons? So we have to take 640 tons this year. Okay. And how much do we normally use in a year's time? Okay. Okay, but the salt shed's full right now. So that's part of our 800.
Does the city plow all your streets out in school?
So I may not be able to buy 640
Okay, we buy
tons
salt.
this next year.
We usually try to buy it first. We usually try to buy it first.
Can you call them and ask them if they can take their minimum down to like 400 tons?
But we pay their cost, we reimburse.
We're gonna accept North American salt. It's the cheapest per ton.
No, you wouldn't.
Ask them if we can take our minimum down to 400 tons, because our salt shed's full.
We'll go buy new bags.
Okay.
Well, we can buy more, I just don't wanna be forced to buy more. Right, right. You see, with the shed being full and I have to buy 800 tons, it would be more than we need. Don't you? Okay, see if they'll take that minimum down to 400 tons and then we'll accept their quote. Okay, thank you. Call me back, because we're in the meeting here and we need to do it. Thanks. She understands. Okay, now we're gonna go back to this quote.
We're back at meters.
Just tell me what page it's on here.
It's kind of in the middle, actually.
Method of payment.
Okay. Yeah, we staggered the terms. I think they're on this quote here.
Show me.
Let's see. So what we done, the shipment schedules here. So the first 1,000 we would like to ship, probably within the next 2 weeks of the complete meters, which would be these. And then 1,000 more is kind of listed out here, the week of, say, May 14th, or May 6th of next year. And then about this time again next year.
We're gonna do it in four, and this is the price right here, $161,335.
$161.35, that would be for this entire unit, yes.
That's what I said, a piece.
Yes, a piece, yeah.
And we're gonna ship 1,000 of them, and we hope to have those in by Christmas. I made this thing up and I forgot what I did. Then we're going to take the total units,
1,000 more units,
Right.
May of next year.
May of next year.
Yeah.
We're gonna install them. And then in the following year,
Yeah, and then we've kind of broken it down on the next page here, 1,500 units, and this is stretching, and there's a little bit of fluctuation on this, but we have March of 2015 to do 1,500, basically just the retrofits, to retrofit your existing Badgers that you have now. And then again, say roughly 6 months from there,
August
another
of that
1,500.
same year, we'll get the retrofits again and finish it out.
And that should finish it out. Now, there is a little bit of fluctuation on that. In talking with Badger, the only thing that they ask is that the city would guarantee that they would purchase all of the units within the next 2 years.
Well,
'Cause
that's
from a
what-
manufacturing standpoint, that was an issue for them. So, just because they are gonna be eating the cost of price increases over the next 2 years, so,
Well, they're gonna carry us over the next year.
yeah.
Yes.
So they did ask that the city would, I mean, and we're not gonna make you sign a note saying that you're gonna guarantee that you're gonna do them in the next 2 years, but they would, as an obligation, we would like for that to happen if you could, so. Badger's
But
a very.
we're buying 6,000 units from you.
Yeah,
over a
we know that
two-year
once you
period.
commit to
Yeah.
buying the first 1,000, you're gonna continue to buy them, but they just asked.
This is the only way in the world I can see we can afford to get this done.
Absolutely, but we can.
We do it over a 2-year period, and you gotta remember your labor, and we're going into winter. That's why I was so anxious to get this on the agenda for today. I think we can get these 1,000 in before Christmas. That's what my.
Yeah, if you don't have, if you're manually reading all those meters come wintertime, it's gonna be, I mean, a lot more work than what it is now. I mean, obviously, the weather conditions are pretty good right now to be doing anything
There's
outside.
one
but-
thing, we can hire his company to put them in for us, but I don't wanna do that. I wanna do it with our own people. If we get in a bind, we may have to, because when you listen to what David says we're doing just to get the meters read, and now I gotta pull everybody we can find to put meters in.
When can we expect the delivery, first delivery?
I think within the next 2 weeks, if you give me the okay for it
Good.
today, so.
Okay,
The brass does meet the new lead-free.
Yeah, the
standard.
B81, yeah, this is a low lead meter body, and it meets all the new standards for 2014 for the low lead meter brass.
got a clip right here. Okay, let's take these meters up. I know I'm jumping around, but we got a lot to take care of today. Let's take these meters. You've looked at them. You've looked at the bid. We only received one bid,
Yeah.
and the bid meets the specs that we asked for, right, John?
Yes, it does.
And the bond and everything's in order.
It is.
Okay. Hello, Bonnie. Yes. Draw the line through the 8. And put 4. Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate it. Bye-bye. Our minimum buy would be 400 tons, and I know we're gonna need that. And she said if I'll sign it, send it back, they'll change it. So we'll have to act on that after we act on these meters, okay? All right, on the meters, questions? Meter man's here, Dave's here.
I don't have any more questions.
I'd like to make a motion to accept Waller Meter's bid on the new meter replacement with the sending unit and the endpoint. Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carried.
And
All
Julie,
right.
when these are all finalized, I need a copy of that for my files.
Sure.
And we gotta sign this for him today. You stay around a little bit, we'll sign this for you.
Sure.
And then we need to rush this as much as you
Yeah,
can.
yep, I'll put a rush on it for you.
And I stole your meter the other day, so I'll give it back to you.
It's no trouble at all.
Put that on before you leave town. One down.
I told Dave, I said, just hopefully you guys don't try to put this one in, because this one actually wouldn't work with the system you're getting. So.
No, I just, all right, let's go back to our salt bid. Now, we got them down, they have agreed to change that to a 400
That
tons.
would be 400 tons, 5850.
Yep. Now, we can buy more, but we have to buy that much, but I know we'll buy that much this winter.
Yeah.
Actually, it's
Normally it takes.
58.85, Fran.
Oh, I wrote down 5850 for some
58,
reason.
yeah.
No.
Round it up.
So what's your pleasure?
I move we accept the salt bid from North American for 58.85 a ton, with a minimum of 400 ton. That
Second.
includes delivery.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion carried, we got a salt contract, that's good. Now, as you know, on the first aid unit, and we have an opener for wages and benefits, we have a new man that's doing the negotiating now, and he wanted addendums put in the contracts that the insurance, the health insurance has gone up, and we buy it from the union. I don't think we need an addendum in there because it says that the city will pay all except 10%, the employee will pay 10%. These addendums reflect that 10%, and they reflect exactly what the premium's gonna be. So, because he's a new man and he wants this done, all we're doing is we're doing it over again to add to the contract. So I need a motion, they're doing exactly what the contract now says. City's gonna pay all of it, and they're going to take 10% back out of the employee's pay at a rate of $73.82 per pay period.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
The addendums also include, at least for EMS, a change in title classification titles. And I want that pointed out that those are also in these addendums for EMS.
Right.
That takes away basic, it's just now called civilian EMT and civilian paramedic, and I think that's per the new Indiana state law.
It is,
Okay, I will just want that clarified that this is in the vote that we're taking.
right.
Okay.
So that brings the insurance that the city will be paying for those employees at 16,945.36 is what I get. And then their 10% on top of that.
Yeah, if you multiply that 1476.42 by 12, is what you did. Yeah, you're right.
Actually, it's not that much. You take the 147.64 off
Take
of
it
the
back out.
1476.42.
Oh, okay. So
And
it's
then
a little bit
multiply
less than
that
that.
times 12,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So I guess we'll have these addendums from now on each time. So on these addendums, I'd like to take all three of them and pass them at the same time, if we could. Unless you want to take them separately. Let's see, need
It's the same union. so-
Yeah,
Well, I move that we accept the addendums of Article 16 of the EMS contract, the contract City Street Department, and the third one, treasurer, first thing.
Transfer station.
And the transfer station. Okay, there was no title on that one, even though I read it.
it's the same.
Transfer and state and park are all,
Right.
they're street and park.
Okay. Reflecting the new, language for health insurance and also the EMS classifications in the EMS addendum.
Got all that?
I rattled a little bit.
Is there a
Sorry.
second?
No second.
I'll second if Ron doesn't.
John, did you have anything you wanted to say about this? You negotiated these addendums, you and Fran did, you and Fran together.
Yes, we work with the unit guys to change the classification and
Nothing, it's nothing more than exactly what we agreed to
right.
and what we've been doing in the past, so there's no change. It just reflects the actual figures themselves and the change in the civilian, EMT and civilian paramedic language.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, we got that covered. Okay, utility department first.
I was just checking my bill box over to clerk's office. I had asked for copies of some documents from the past and didn't pick them up, so I need to do that. What I wanted to check was, nearly a year ago, I had a customer, or a prospective customer just outside the city limits who requested water service. And to my knowledge, it was approved. I don't find documentation for that.
Who was it?
Kenny Fox out at 1710 West County Road 50 North.
That was right next door to Mr. Harvey.
Dr. White's house, right out there. What, if you extend 12th Street,
Dex.
You remember that one?
No.
I don't remember that one either.
I remember the one on 300 West, but no.
Well,
yeah,
the last-
300 West.
The last one we approved was next to Mr. Harvey out there.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I was, because I dealt with him a year ago, but not as of late when he now has his material in the ground. He wants hooked up, but I'm not finding the documents.
I don't think it's been approved. It
Yeah.
has to be approved by the council.
Yep. By the council? Okay.
I don't think
Okay.
it's ever been brought before
Yeah.
us.
recognize
Because
that.
he has, I'll need council minutes
No,
then.
this group has to approve it first
Okay.
and then recommend it to the council.
Okay, then I need this
Okay.
expedited,
How
so
close is he to the water line?
across the road. There's a water main
And he's
out.
paying the expense to put it in,
Yep, he already has,
but he's not hooked up to it.
correct.
Do you have a receipt? Where you
Yeah,
paid it?
yeah, well,
So there had to be
where he's
something
paid us, but I don't have the documentation where we've gotten permission to hook him up because he's outside the city limits. He's filed all the papers, he's recorded with the county as he's supposed to. He's done everything he's supposed to, and I'm not sure why we've not brought it before. I'm just confident we did.
Sounds like it slipped through the cracks.
Yeah,
It
but
did here.
all of this sounds so familiar that I'm just sure we've done this somewhere, but, so I'm requesting permission that, 1710 West County Road 50 North, be allowed to hook up the city water. There is no city sewer out there at this time.
What's your pleasure, board?
I make a motion to hook them up, 1710, yeah.
I'll second.
Got a motion to give water to 1710 County Road 250.
Well, no, 50,
County Road
County Road 50 North.
50.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. And
So I
we-
need to go to the council tonight.
Yeah,
What was
I'll
his
put it
name?
on the agenda
Uh,
tonight.
Kenneth Fox.
What we really probably ought to do is ask the council to change that amendment, or change that ordinance to allow the Board of Works to make that decision. It's so awkward, and that's probably what's happened. You have to ask the Board of Works, they gotta recommend it to the council. And really, the Board of Works runs the utility. That was put in there because the council, I was on that council, at that time, didn't want to extend water out of the city.
Right, it's a fighting annexation problem, I think. That's why the council's involved.
But there is no problem anymore, I mean.
Yeah, they
can't
all-
annex. It doesn't make sense to annex
True.
because of the tax caps. So
Every
it's-
application has on it, their right, that they waive the rights of
Right.
annexation, so.
Right. And I think that's the reason the council was involved in it, because.
Okay.
But it's an extra step now we gotta go through, which is
Sure,
really not
I
necessary.
understand, I think it's great that the council doesn't have to approve it.
Can we do that, John? Ask the council tonight to allow us to write amendment to that ordinance that allows the Board of Works to make that decision.
Right, I'd like to see the ordinance, and I haven't seen it for a
Yeah,
while.
we need to see that.
We'll get it for you.
Julie, do you have it available?
I do,
Okay.
in the ordinance
The
book.
mayor has it.
I can't say I can find it, but I know where
I
it is.
understand.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure I have it too. I'm just not
Right,
sure where
I
it's
know.
at.
It's in the ordinance book.
If I see
And
it by
It was
tonight.
adopted in 2007 or 6. Right.
I can't recall, but I know it had to do with annexation. But since then, a lot has changed.
Where you have the tax caps.
Now, this gentleman's done all we've asked him to do.
What he should have done is come here and asked permission, and done everything.
Yeah, well,
That's okay, it's done.
yeah,
He probably
Appreciate
thought
it.
was done.
and we typically do that on behalf of the requestee.
All right, that's done. Did we vote? I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, we're done. What
And,
else you got?
So, should I see the council, will you do that on my
We'll
behalf?
do it. We'll
Okay.
ask council to approve it.
Along with asking about changing the amendment?
We'll talk about
Okay.
that with them.
Okay,
They
very
may not
good.
want to, who knows?
Okay. As the media has alerted the folks that live on the eastern portion of Offutt Park, they are still under a boil water advisory. I want to educate people on that. A boil water advisory is not us telling people that their water is dangerous. It's a requirement by the state of Indiana. Anytime water pressure in an area that's feeding residents goes below, or potentially goes below 20 pounds of pressure, we must issue a boil water advisory. Not a requirement, but advisory, because there is that remote potential that because of the low pressure, something could have backflowed into that water system. So we're required to do that every time a water line, a main, goes down below 20 pounds. And if it's an individual home that we're working with, that's not the case. But so it's just a precautionary thing that the state requires us to do. And they are under a boil water advisory till most likely mid this week. It all depends on the manner in which these samples are taken. And we've already started
We
that.
fixed the water hydrant up there.
Yes,
Fire
did that at the end of last week, and then we had the weekend, so we couldn't take samples then because of the lab was not open.
We're flushing hydrants, and one of the hydrants up there was broke.
And a similar situation occurred at corner of 8th and Central. As the firemen's opened it, they had difficulty closing it. It remained open for a period of time until our crew finished repairing a leak on 21st Street and got down there to fix that.
In between reading meters, right?
Read meters. And stating that the Connersville Fire Department they are still flushing hydrants on our behalf around the city, so people may see water. We had a call the other evening, water running down the road. They thought it was a main break. They called someone in, and it was water remaining from a fire hydrant being flushed. But I'd rather someone err on the caution than not call at all. The advertising for the assistant manager position is ongoing, so want to make sure you knew that, and I welcome additional personnel there as soon as possible. But I know we're working on that.
We've interviewed 12, or had 12 applications. I think we've interviewed 9.
9.
2 of the candidates were possibilities, but would not take the job. They basically didn't want to relocate.
The concern, if I may say, their concern is political appointments, and in 2 years, do they have a job? We do have a teleconference with Datamatic this week. Hopefully it's on the 18th or 19th, or 18th or 20th this week. Mary Ellen, our wastewater supervisor, and I are going to a required IDEN meeting in Newcastle tomorrow. We always have our phone handy if you absolutely need us. But that's part of what's called the MS4, the Municipal Separated Storm Sewer System, is what the 4 S's are. The MS4, and it's for illicit discharge and us monitoring that. And this is our annual audit. So it's a pretty stringent audit that it requires both of us be there. I was hoping to get all of you a notice of some board training in advance, but it appears you don't have your own personal mailbox here, so I think they put it in your packet. You see that about the training? You should have received something that looked like this. I sent over
No.
This is
one for everybody.
I'll give that to you while I'm thinking of it.
No,
I can get.
Things are.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's. I can give you these, but what it is if you want to further understand the ins and outs of how a utility is run, not only in its physical sense but also its financial sense. What laws allow you to do or don't allow you to do, and how far you can stretch those laws. There is a board training free in the evening for board members, and I was hoping you'd have this because I need to let them know by this evening or late this afternoon if you can attend. It's next week, Tuesday the 24th, at Lake Santee in near Greensburg. That's the closest one. Others are pretty far away.
Is that an evening or?
It's evening at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. They give you a manual and go through all the laws and regulations that pertain to water and wastewater, and how those things, how you can work with those laws so they don't become a burden to you. So, but you're welcome. I'm going to go. You're welcome to ride along with me, and I want to put that invitation out, and I have a few of these here that I can hand out.
I got one on my desk, so.
I have one too, so you get one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I only have 2, but
Any of you that are.
I can make another one.
We
Interested in
can
going?
share,
I am.
you can get Ron the other, we'll share.
Okay.
Is there any of you that are interested in going?
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting.
You're gonna go? How about you, Fran? Are you able to?
I'm not sure at this point.
Yep.
but,
Feel free to read through that. You can also go on the internet and look at their website and read through it and see what the agenda is, and if you find that interesting or not. But I'm going over, and I welcome anyone who wants to ride with me. And that's about all I have.
That's good.
Yep. That's good that it's all I have, or?
That's good. That's all. Mike, you're next. You have anything?
No,
Okay,
Took him earlier.
no, I just gotta get this agreement signed.
okay, I'm sorry, I thought you had something. Okay, anything else under department heads? Nothing appearing? We've had some trouble with the new fire truck. We had to send it back to, have some things done to it. And it should have been delivered over the weekend, Friday or Saturday, and it's not. And, I haven't got to ask Troy, has Troy told you? Okay.
Like what kind of trouble?
Oh, there was engine trouble on the engine. It's a international. And we took it to international, which we shouldn't have done, and then we took it back to E1, and E1 has got it fixed. They also put the foam on it, the shelves and the ladders while they had it. So it should be back. Maybe it's back over there now. But some of you, I know, have missed it. And we did some shuffling around, and we put Rescue 21 over there, and we ran Rescue 21 alongside the ambulance to help. So it's worked out, but it should be back in there now. Public forum, enough public left to have a forum. Old business. Anybody got any old business?
I've got a couple matters,
Go ahead.
Mayor. Regarding the Little League parcel located behind Hassler's building that he was interested in purchasing. The Board of Works authorized me to look into that and try to determine what was the best way to handle it. And Brad Hassler had a survey already made some time ago, along with a drawing of the property in question. It's on the west side of the Little League Park, and it's the hill, the bank that kind of rolls over down to the park, and also the space behind his building where he's parking vehicles. And he wants to purchase that from the city. And in order to do that, we need to have the property appraised by 2 appraisers to get the appraised value that we can sell it for no less than the average of the 2 appraised values. So, and to an adjoining landowner, without going through some of the bidding that you have to do when you don't have an adjoining landowner wanting the property. So I need you to authorize the appraisal of that real estate and let me further pursue the sale of that real estate to Mr. Haskell. It won't affect the Little League Park at all. It's part of that parcel, it's part of a 17-acre parcel.
Take care of the hillside, turn into trees and weeds again.
Yeah. It's already that.
No, we take care of it.
Part of it probably is.
Yeah.
Another part's cleaned out.
Oh, I know what you mean. Anyway, yeah, I need authority to pursue selling the property.
I move we authorize Mr. Baker to obtain 2 appraisals on the property in question behind Hassler's Textile Services.
How close does it come to the driveway and?
Not very close. It just kind of
Okay.
rolls over the hill and stuff. Most of it is behind his building.
That's a real steep hill with rock on it.
I'll second that motion.
A motion is second to pursue the sale of that. John, you might include an agreement with Hassler to take care of the hill.
All right.
When you purchase it, that he has to take care of the hill down to the park. His portion, because we take care of our portion, right?
Yeah.
That's okay with you if he takes care of it, right?
That'd be good.
Okay, then you can enforce it. Which
I have one other matter.
we could do that anyway under the weed law.
Right. Yeah. The other matter is, did you vote on that?
No, we didn't vote. We have
Okay,
a motion second.
Everybody, I didn't have a motion yet. Did you
Yeah,
make,
yes.
Jan,
Yeah,
Jane
yeah,
did it, you
hold
second?
on.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pursue the sale.
Regarding the fire truck that we discussed at the last meeting,
That's the old fire truck.
yes, the one that's now surplus. The statute gives the local volunteer departments first option on any surplus fire department owned by a municipality. So we're in the process of contacting the local departments. We've talked to Bentonville, and we're gonna be talking to Everton next week, or perhaps this week. Is it? No, Troy's not here. I think perhaps it is this week, and Wednesday. And then if they decline use of the property, which is likely, we can go ahead and pursue disposing of the property to another entity. We talked to the State Board of Accounts and Charlie Pride. He wants us to go under the section of the statute that has to do with exchange of property with another governmental unit. He thinks that's the most realistic way to handle it, and that would be with the school district that this entity that we're thinking about is part of. And that also requires an exchange of some kind or other between the two entities, not exactly equal necessarily at all, just an exchange of properties between governmental units, and resolutions between each governmental body, all of which we can handle. It's just a matter of doing the paperwork. But first of all, we have to get the local departments to tell us they're not interested in it. It's unlikely because that truck is not a tanker truck.
Is Glenwood not involved because they're in Rush County?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's just a report. I don't know that I need to vote on that.
Okay. Old business, any other old business? None appearing, miscellaneous business. I have a bicentennial report on my desk, but I'm not sure how to read it. I haven't been able to contact the treasurer. I can tell you there's money sufficient to pay all the bills. I'll have that for you next time. There were 3 reports, one from the PayPal and one from the credit card, and then there was a long list of expenses and income, and I have not been able to talk to her. She is at the bank and has been busy, and I just got a note from Ralph. She's been on the phone all day, probably because it's Monday. I will get an exact report and get it to you. I guess the question is, there'll be some money left over, and John, what's the proper way to handle the money left over?
Well, that is a subcommittee of the Board of Works.
Okay.
And I think the Board of Works will have to make a determination as to what to do with the money. I don't believe, and perhaps I'm not remembering, that we included surplus funds in the resolution that was passed whereby the Board of Works would have control over that subcommittee. There was language about the city would be responsible for any unpaid bills, but I don't know that we addressed any surplus. I'm not sure we thought there would be any, but we'll take a look at it. But otherwise, it would be, the Board of Works would direct what happens.
So it is a decision of the Board of Works for what money's left in that
Yeah,
subcommittee?
that's the only body that would have any authority.
Okay. I'll have a report for you at the next meeting. I can say, I know there's money left over. I can't tell you how much. Julie and I have monitored that, and we'll have a full report for you at the next meeting.
I suspect, if I can add this, that the bicentennial committee may have recommendations.
Right.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, Dave didn't talk about the utility report, but you have it in your folder. Of course, blue is water, yellow is sewer, and green is stormwater. He skipped that. Bill always skipped it too. I don't think he liked to get into the money part. Any questions on it? We're not rich, but we're not broke. We can get these meters straightened around. We might have a year or two where we can run pretty decent. If you have any questions, just go right ahead.
So,
I think it's just informational.
I'm gonna read the reports, how much,
We,
let's see,
at the beginning, our cash balance was $683,904.16 in water. And we dispersed $181,909.16, and we received $173,309.55. So if you want to subtract those two. The same in the sewage. We began the month with $640,188.97, we received $179,044.73, and we dispersed $284,077. In stormwater, we began the month with $1,223,595.21, and we dispersed $28,404.40, and we received $63,584.82. That seems like we got a lot of money, but we've got to start planning another separation project. And when you talk about $1 million, that's peanuts to a separation project.
Plus, we're gonna have our share, our portion to pay out for the
Right.
Grand Avenue project, that one too.
Okay, any questions on the finance?
No, we're
Black.
all in the black, so
We're in the black all the way across,
it's good.
and we're 8 months in. We might be able to pay you.
That's a good thing.
That's why I'm sticking around to hear that report.
If you folks don't mind, then we can go to claims.
So we want fire ladders for engine one, is that the new fire truck? engine
Yes,
one?
yeah.
Yes.
Didn't it come with ladders?
No, it did not, and we thought the ladders would fit and the brackets would not adjust to accommodate them. And it was the wrong kind of ladder, so we had to buy the ladders. If I'd have known that before we bought the truck, we'd have thrown it in, but it was too late.
Well, at least we got wheels on it.
It's got wheels and hubcap.
Yeah, that's, the tub grinder at the landfill seems to need repairing quite often, do you know?
Yeah, I can explain that, it's too small.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, we had.
it takes a beating down there. And once in a while, we just hire CGS to come over and catch us up. There's a tremendous amount of stuff brought down there,
Yeah.
and the tub grinder, it isn't a heavy duty enough tub grinder.
Well,
Would you agree to that,
they've been
Ron?
keeping up pretty good though here lately.
But it takes a lot of repair.
Yes, I would agree with that, sure would.
That's all questions I had concerning the claim.
Anybody else have questions on the claims?
Okay, we had 271 claims, and the total amount of money, $190,879.06.
Ron, you wanna give the utility claim?
Utility claims, the water claims is $81,800.20. The sewer is $533,009.58. Stormwater claim is $29,562.94. Trash was $50,271.81, making the total claims $694,644.53. But I will make a note that there was a bond issue in there
Nice.
that
In
was
the sewer.
$440,000.
That'll show red next month, I can
Yes.
guarantee it.
I move we accept the claims, city general fund and utility claims as submitted.
Second.
Got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Before we adjourn, you all got a letter from Reagan Street,
Yes.
okay? The council, I polled the council 3 months ago, and they asked Julie and I not to put it in the budget. Do you feel any different today than you did then?
They had asked for how much?
5,000.
$5,000.
Okay. The budget's been advertised?
Yes.
Yep.
We can't raise
We
it?
can't add to it now anyway,
It would have to be an additional appropriation.
after the
After
first of
first
the
year.
year.
I see.
Do you feel, I'm just asking, do you feel any different now than you did then? You were pretty adamant with me when we talked about it.
Well, I'd like to see their budget sometime.
They showed us income, but. Well, are you still, Mike needs to know, are you still planning for him to take the, we just will be upfront, if we're gonna take the T-ball and softball, he needs to know so he can plan accordingly. That's what you told me a month or two ago, that's what you wanted to do.
Mayor, they are stating in the letter here that they have an audit from Kemper. I would like to see the audit. Is that fair?
I think so.
It wasn't a true audit, was it? It was something else, wasn't it?
It says the center
says
has,
it's an audit.
has had a compilation audit performed. I'm not sure exactly what, I don't know whether it's a, but it's not listed in the packet that they have given us. Is that fair to ask for their audit?
Well, sure. If they want you to give money, and it's a 501c3, isn't it?
Yes.
I think we have a right to look at an audit, don't we, Cal?
Yes. On condition that if they're wanting a grant from the city council or from the city, then
Same way with the budget,
You
we
can
have a right
certainly-
to ask for a budget.
yes.
That is a grant. But if we gave it to them, it'd be a grant.
Yes, but you can ask to see whatever.
I'd like to see what the money's
Documentation you would
going.
like.
I mean, before we made a fair analysis, I would like to see the audit. I think that would be a
I think so.
fair way to approach it.
Should put that in the form of motion, so I have the right to ask for that, too.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to see the Kemper audit from the Reagan Street Community Youth Center
And I'd
before
like
a
to see their-
decision is made on their grant.
Excuse me, I'd like to see their budget for 2014.
Do you want me to add that into
Yes,
the
would you
motion
please?
as their Kemper audit and their budget
For 2014.
for the year 2014?
I'll second.
Now, their audit probably won't be a 2014.
Be a
No, it's gonna
2013.
be
Right.
a couple years
Or
older.
2012. All right, and there's a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll ask for those things. Okay, any other business to come before this group? Julie, have I missed anything? I don't think we have. We fixed some of these corners with, in conjunction with the utilities. We've taken the boxes, the catch basins out, and we put concrete over on Fifth Street. We done right up by Willie Wells across from the bank, and another one. Where did we do the other one? Did 3, didn't we?
See, there's-
I don't remember the other one.
See
Okay,
lots
we
of
got those
paint on
done, and they're
corners
looking a
that
lot
they're doing.
nicer.
We've got some out Ranch and Ridge.
Yeah, I see a lot of paint on the street, that there's more
We're
coming.
trying to get our painting done. We're trying to scrape all the weeds out of the gutters and get that cleaned up. And of course, we're getting ready to start leaves here just shortly. Been tub grinding today. Just if there's something that I'm missing, you need to call me, but we're working hard to get things ready for winter.
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, we're adjourned.